Yes, my voice is still screwed up. You see pictures of various marzipan stuff. Marzipan is a sweetened almond paste, so it's used in various desserts. It was supposed to be a reference of using all the best bits of something to have a refined product. Also, it was kind of a half-assed reference to the Marmalade video by a song by System Down. Just cool. It's a cool song. And I like various desserts and stuff. But anyway, the idea of the marzipan video, you'll see that the Black Box Immortal playlist has 6 videos. One is the video from the... And yes, I know it's been a week. And my voice is still fucked up. But hopefully it'll be improved at some point. I do need to go back to playing the rest of the Black Box game, as well as just lots of games I left on the back burner. I'll make a playlist called Side Quests, where I try to go back for a bunch of the games that I have failed to complete. Not saying I'd complete them that time, but I'd at least go back into them. Definitely Chapter 2 of Higurashi. And who knows, maybe some other games, and I'll start adding new things. And everyone's like, yeah, you're going to complete your backlist. But it's like, I'm going to keep adding more stuff to it. Okay, we'll do something light to start it with. I'll find a video game about like Yuri or something. Everyone's like, it's a hentai trope. Like, whatever. I don't care. Just saying. I think that'd be a funny way to start that. But I should try to, do all the stuff that I've played some of and, didn't finish. So I should try to go back to those games. And everyone's like, you're not even talking about the main thing you were trying to talk about here. Yeah, I'm just saying this. In the Black Box playlist, there's 6 videos. You'll see the Black Box Part 1 video. You'll see a couple shooters that are like, oh, I thought that looked cool, and I put that in there. But there's 3 videos that are private. That's a piece of a recording of Dragon Spirit, of Castlevania, and of the original Mario Brothers. The idea is that I was going to have recordings of the titles of various games and the music that comes with it. It was going to be titled Every Video Game Worth Playing for Consoles. And I'd have a little clickbaity sort of bullshit part of the title saying, next we'll have anime. The idea being that I would be putting out the idea that I'd be doing the same idea, but for every anime worth watching. Though obviously I would start off with like just every anime from the 80s. Because I actually have written out a list at some point. It's just like 1,000 community posts ago. Because I wrote it down in a community post. But I don't want to like do my idea for that. Because like I said, that's why this video is occurring. Because I didn't want to do my original idea. Because I was going to make recorded segments and I'd have them privated on the on the Black Box thing. And then once I have them all in a row, I would just re-record them as it just plays through the whole playlist. And then it'd be one consolidated video that's essentially all the other videos ground together. Hence, Marzipan. But I'll be honest, that would take a really long time, and I don't want to do that. I got as far as making three title things, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. But that's the idea. Like, slide 1 would be Dragon Spirit the New Legend for the NES. And then you'd have slide 2, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. And then you'd have slide 3, Mario 1. And you go on and on. Like, eventually you get, like, Final Fantasy. And you'd have, like, the title screen from each of the Final Fantasy games. And so, like, it'd be the thing, like, when you start up a video game, it's that title screen that gives you the title of the game That's supposed to be the main graphic that you're going to be looking at every time you ever start up the game. Like, I'm pretty sure all of you have favorite video games that you probably played over and over again, and you can imagine in your head. You don't even need to plug in the console. You can just remember the game, and you can remember the image of the title screen. You can remember the music, the sound effects. Like, take Brave Fencer Musashi. I can remember the startup sequence for that fucking shit. The, like, various sword sounds. Brave Fencer Musashi. Let's start. And, of course, the actual full-on, start screen. Heck. I'm tempted, like, I could just use that different. Like, maybe I'll, because I need to, my arm is itchy. I need to stop making so many community posts. I'll make community posts that's just the title screen of Brave Fencer Musashi. Or maybe I'll just probably find the intro by someone else and just share it in the fucking Black Box playlist. The main point is this: I can imagine the way the screen looks, the way animations that exist within the title screen, the sound effects, the voice acting, the music. But that's the idea. Like, I would have a list of every video game in the world worth playing, and I wouldn't even need to talk during the video. It would just be sequentially going on its own from game to game, just showing, like, all of a sudden you'd see the title screen, like when you started up the PlayStation, you'd wind up seeing the little PlayStation symbol and the certain sound effect you'd hear. Heck, I'm pretty sure when you had an original PlayStation, remembers the sound effect that you'd hear if you put in the wrong disc. It's kind of fucking scary. Or how about anyone who's played Sonic the Hedgehog? You remember that, what it was like when you started up Sega, when you had the original Sega Genesis. Sega. You can remember that. Heck, it's kind of like, imagine a band you like. You can remember how a certain riff sound. Or you can remember certain voice acting. Heck, there was a picture of fucking Goku and Hatsune Miku fighting off. And it's just a fucking picture, a meme. And it's Goku about fire off Kamehameha, and Mikune is like got her hands and is making the motion too, with a little gun in between her wrists. And there's captions beneath them, each of them. And here's the thing. Even though it's just a picture, I could hear the dialogue being spoken in their voices. Hearing it in my own head, in the voice of Hatsune Miku, like the full-on Vocaloid voice, as if I was literally hearing it, as if I was watching a video, even though it was just a fucking picture, was hilarious. But anyone who has familiarity with the heck, you guys ever see the hologram concerts, which of course they varied a bit, honestly, and it's not like it's always been a linear improvement or even exponential one. It's that even though the holograms are different styles, honestly, I would say yes, there's holograms for 2024. But honestly, the Hatsune Miku concerts from 2016, honestly, I think look the best. And of course, you have a synthetic voice. And of course, you have updated versions of the voice that are supposed to sound more natural, but it's just, I don't know, it may sound weird, but I feel a sort of, I don't know if it'd be called nostalgia, because it's not a childhood thing. It's more so, yes, it's cool if they make new voices for stuff, like an updated version. That's interesting, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like if you see Hatsune Miku, you want to hear her original voice, even if it was air quotes limited technology, and it's when you hear it, you're like, oh, that's definitively a Vocaloid and not a biological human. But even that, I don't feel like anything else sounds like Hatsune Miku. Like those various parts of the tone of the voice. It's just, yes, it's definitively, you hear that and you're like, that's not a human voice. That's not a biological human speaking. But at the same time, it sounds so fucking adorable and cute. And it sounds really good for singing. It sounds like a very beautiful voice. And it sounds, most of all, like, and this is supposed to be me just saying, hey, Hatsune. Of course, we're talking about voices. My voice is all scratched the fuck up from when I got sick. But trying to talk about Hatsune Miku, it's like, oh, her voice it's just fitting of the character, and I like the original Hatsune Miku voice, even though it's noticeably Vocaloid. I like it better that way. But now I'm just spending this whole video glazing Hatsune Miku, and everyone's like, oh, that sounds kind of sexual. And I'm like, honestly, if Hatsune Miku actually physically existed, not just a hologram, but actually physically exists, even if she looked like the hologram. Like, basically, you have an actual anime-looking person in real world, and she talked like that. Yes, I would totally be best friends with, go on bike trail walks with, take showers with, and have a loving, romantic... Yeah. I was trying to think of a non-cringy way of saying it, but there's no way of saying it. I would fuck Hatsune Miku. And everyone's like, you keep fucking her name. Like, I gotta fuck something. The only thing fucking me is life. Heck, if Trump actually does that thing he says about, take away the federal taxes, hey, that'll make life a bit easier on my end. For the man who works in fucking factories and spends his free time as a hobby annoying everyone on the internet by being the most cringiest fucking person out there. Like, I don't know if it's possible for you to be more of a weeb than me, but hey, it's not a competition. I'm just saying I really have enjoyed anime my whole fucking life. Even back when everyone would make fun of me for it. But nowadays, not so much with that, just because, well, one, most people also enjoy anime, and two, I'd have to have social interaction with other people for... okay, enough of self-debasement of myself. Which is funny, because, like, if you were talking about yourself, I think I'd have more of a praise kink. Unfortunately, I'm fucking starved of that. And everyone's like, what is this? Please go back to glazing Hatsune Miku. And I'm like, I'm going to have sexual thoughts about that. And everyone's like, dear God, what the fuck is this, Lunar? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what we're discussing anymore. I'm just imagining an anime character existing in three-dimensional space and actually loving and caring about me and respecting me as a human being. And everyone's like, that's a fucking fantasy. And I'm like, which part? The fucking anime character being real? Or someone caring about me? Or someone respecting me? Or someone thinking I'm special or have value? Or seeing me as not disgusting and not worthless? Or wanting to actually be in a loving, caring relationship with me? And everyone's like, this is just anime dude glazes anime girls and has low self-esteem. It's like, what? This is supposed to be about video games. We're 15 minutes into this, and all I have done is glaze Hatsune Miku. Main point being, the idea for the video Marzipan was it was going to be like just a list of every video game that's worth playing. And it would just be, hey, look, it's the title screen of Super Mario Bros. 3 with the intro cutscene music. So it's just title screens from every video game paired with their title theme music and whether kind of sound effects or voice acting or animations go with them. So as I mentioned, every video game, because I didn't fucking compile the list, so I'm just go off of whatever's in my fucking memory, which we all know that is something I should not do because, one, my memory fucking sucks. I don't know if I have ADHD or autism. I definitely have short-term memory issues. Heck, at this point, I'm worried if I'm starting to develop early onset Alzheimer's. And everyone's like, that's a terrible thing to joke about. Like, I'm not joking. I'm like, obviously, I'm pretty sure I don't have Alzheimer's. Though, honestly, I could eventually, which I hope I don't. But the point is, I am struggling so much to, like, if I'm talking about stuff with you guys, it's so hard for me to focus. And I get distracted so easily, and I go on tangents, and I get confused easily, and I forget what I'm talking about, and then my short-term memory kind of sucks, and my whole speech system is disorganized. Like, the way I write, the way I talk, the way I communicate is very disorganized, and I can't seem to. And again, like, I don't know if I'm autistic. I don't even know how I'd fucking test that shit. I've tried online testing things, and apparently, according to all that shit, I pass with flying colors. Heck, usually any of those things, like, my personality is INFJ. So, like, I have the same personality as, say, Shinji Ikari or Chrono Gorgon from Soul Eater. So, heck, maybe at some point I should do that too. Make a little video where I discuss all the different anime, because I have a list of like 11 different anime fusions of separate characters that I feel that their personalities combined make my personality. But I'll definitely have that list just sitting in front of me so I can just read it off, and that way it can be a very short, very to the point list that isn't this convoluted bullshit that is whatever it is me talking is. It's also like why most people who make videos write some sort of fucking script, or I don't know, have a fucking coherent fucking thought. But then again, this started off with me just saying, I don't feel like recording random bullshit anymore for the marzipan thing. Because I was going to record title screens for every fucking video game. But that'd probably be like 1,000 video games if I did everything. And I like... Heck, I have a Wikipedia article thing open as a list of every NES game ever made. I scrolled through like 10 games. I'm like, I don't feel like it anymore. And like I said, I recorded the 3 videos, like Dragon Spirit, The New Legend, Simon's Quest, Mario 1, and then I uploaded those, and I had them, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to have all these things in a row, I can record them all in one go. So I'm basically recording videos, and then I'm going to make recordings of the recordings. And then I'm like, this takes too fucking long, and I don't want to do it anymore. It's just... I'd rather just make a video where it's just me rambling like this. And everyone's like, this makes terrible content. I'm like, the content is me just wanting to talk. I never said it was good. Besides, it's not like I'm like, ooh, I need to get all these clicks and stuff. All that's just emotional validation on my part, or just you guys telling me you actually, like that I make videos. But at the end of the day, I'm just a crazy fucking guy talking without a filter on the interwebs because I'm such a loser and isolated and alone. So this is the closest thing I have I don't know, social interaction, human interaction, not being invisible, feeling I'm cared about. A hug. This random fucking bullshit of me fucking bitching at all of you and being the most annoying and boring person on the internet is the closest thing I have to having a hug. Because I don't remember what a hug feels like. And I would say that that's kind of a depressing feeling. But I feel like that goes without saying. You know, I feel like it's one of those things that even if you don't even care about, like, and I'm a person who cares about hugs and stuff very much. I'm just very starved for that. So, but then again, we all want somebody we feel safe and we can trust and care about and cared about by and respected by. Because again, I think every man, every human in general just wants affection and appreciation. Now, granted, it's important to have, respect and to feel safe with that person. And heck, for them to be loyal and kind to you too. Heck, affection and appreciation mean nothing without the prerequisite of respect or feeling safe. Heck, at one point I made a post that was just a joke about, hey, I solved the equation for love. That's a post some point in the past. Recently, as I'm getting lightheaded, good thing I'm sitting down. At least my voice is a little better than it was a week ago. But, what? I don't, fuck. Everyone's like, we're like 20 minutes that you haven't listened to any video games other than ones you made for the video. I'm like, I know. It's just that, but that's the idea, And I do like anime music and video game music. And that was another thing, like, make a list of every video game and all that shit. Like, it's just, I know it makes me sound like a loser, but I really like video game soundtracks. I like video game soundtracks. I like music soundtracks. Heck, I remember buying the 4-disc Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. Then again, speaking of intros and things, I remember how the Final Fantasy VIII demo disc that came with Brave Fencer Musashi, how that thing fucking started. It started off a scene of the siege ships driving through the ocean, and you're watching it from a sky view. And what it is you think you're looking at the moon, but what you're doing is you're looking at a reflection of the moon on the water, and the ships sail across it, and you have music, and then it bleeds into a, title sequence with the music, and then it goes into them storming the beaches. Heck, part of me even considered, a compilation of all the best scenes of a game. Or even just, what about the intro? Like, lots of games have intro cutscenes that can play during a title sequence if you sit there and wait. Or even just that'll play before the intro for the title sequence. But that's what I was thinking about doing, just having a compilation of all the title screens with the title theme music to every video game that I thought was worth playing. Now, of course, I'm not going to have a list or anything on me right now, because that would be way too prepared and professional for anything to do with this channel. So I'm just going to go off and just shoot from the hip with my fucking memory. So starting, the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, a console from like 1987. Obviously great games. Dragon's Spirit, The New Legend. Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. Mario 1. Mario 3. Swords and Serpents. Robo Warrior. Battle Kid 1, Fortress of Peril. Battle Kid 2, Mountain of Torment. There's tons of other really great NES games. Now, as far as the Super Nintendo, you have Super Mario World. And of course, there's like 100 really awesome scrolling shooters, both side-scrolling shooters and vertical scrolling ones, where you're like driving as a plane and you're shooting other things, and there's bullet spreads. And it was the early, the bullet hell genre, but it was back, before the computers, or the air quotes computers, the Super Nintendo. It was bullet hell before you had consoles that could handle a large number of projectiles on the screen. So it wouldn't necessarily be a bullet hell because, there was limitation how many bullets you could have, which I think made it more reasonable, because some of the like Toho type stuff, or the there was like a really famous Musama something. It's like a giant space centipedes or something. But it was like really high tech, super advanced looking shit. But this was like a decade ago, but it was still super challenging, super amazing. Like, I think it was like a PS3 level stuff. But it's just Mushama. I'll look it up on my phone. And everyone's like, stay focused. I'm like, no, that's not happening. I'm just going to type bullet hell. And then I'm just going to type MUS and autocorrect, autocomplete. Okay, yep. MUSHIIMESAMA Mushihime-sama. Yeah. Yeah, I picked a picture of it, and it was like, maybe I'll save that into the whole black box playlist. Like I said, there'll be 3 private videos where I was going to have the title screens of games. I just don't fucking feel like doing that, because it was going to take forever. But back to listing off random games. Obviously for the Sega Genesis, Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic Spinball, Sonic 3D Blast, Zero, the Kamikaze Squirrel, Vector Man 1, Vector Man 2, Columns, Space Harrier 2. That's really all that's coming to mind there. Heck, there was a game called Desert Strike. Also, there's a game called Powerball. Desert Strike, you're like this Apache helicopter, or like the original Gulf War in like the 90s. And that's a good game. Heck, you have the Dreamcast. You had Sonic Shuffle. Sonic Shuffle was a great game. It's like Mario Party, if Mario Party was good. Heck, there's a game called Blam Machine Hunt that was both on the Dreamcast and the PS1. Heck, again, for the Sega Genesis, there was the RPG Shining Force. Technically, Shining Force 5, or Shining Force EXA, is the best game ever made for the PS2. But I'll say this. Shining Force 1 and Shining Force 5 are the only ones I like. So I like the original Shining Force, and I like Shining Force EXA. Both are really great games. But yeah, I cannot suggest strongly enough that you play the original Shining Force. Now, Shining Force 2 and 3 and 4 I did not like. They weren't bad games, I just didn't like them. I mean, they were okay, I guess. They just weren't nearly as good as Shining Force 1. And of course, I liked EXA as well. for the original PlayStation, Spyro the Dragon. The original Spyro the Dragon. Heck, I really enjoyed sitting and playing Mario 1, Mario 3, and Spyro with my mom. Heck, my mom would sometimes, like, she'd cook like lasagna sometimes and stuff like that. And my mom did a lot of home cooking back then. And, she did a lot of work on that. And she was really good. And I liked the food and it was tasty. But I would sit in the kitchen. I would talk to my mom. And I'll say this. My mom's definitely got her issues. She definitely has her flaws. And there are things I would complain about. But I think that's everybody. But I'll say this. Even with all the flaws my mother has, I love my mom as she is. And I wouldn't trade her for any other mom in the whole world. I love my mom very, very much. Beyond that, there's the Crash Bandicoot games. Also, Spyro the Dragon had a really great soundtrack. I like the soundtrack for Spyro the Dragon. But, yeah, there's also Croc, Legend of the Gobos, Jersey Devil, Chiquito. The best game ever made for the original PlayStation was Brave Fencer Musashi. It's a great game. I still want a Brave Fencer Musashi 3 and a Mega Man Legends 3. And that's another great game that I cannot suggest strongly enough. Mega Man Legends for the PlayStation 1. Great game. Amazing game. There was also Blam Machine Head. You also had games like Resident Evil and Silent Hill and Parasite Eve. There's tons of really great games. I'm not going to remember all of them because I'm just going off memory. PS2. You had games like Dragon Quest VIII, Shining Force EXA, Dot Hack Infection, Dark Cloud, Grandia 3, Wild Arms 3 or 4, both, I don't know. Oh, Star Ocean Till the End of Time, amazing game. Ratchet & Clank Going Commando, Jak and Daxter, and of course, we're talking about PlayStation games, so of course Final Fantasies. You have all the Final Fantasies, even Final Fantasy Tactics. Though honestly, if I had to pick a few, I would say Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy IX, Final Fantasy V. Granted, Final Fantasy 4 and 6 are really cool too. But honestly, Final Fantasy VIII. Heck, honestly, if I only could suggest 2 Final Fantasy games to you guys, I would suggest Final Fantasy V and Final Fantasy IX. Heck, if you could, think about the Leafa Tree. The fucking Leafa Tree. Remember, Mist Continent? Leafa Tree. Those who know, know. Heck, I still remember the very first times I saw Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, and Final Fantasy IX. Heck, I'll tell you a weird thing. I remember being 13 years old, and the first time I watched my first Star Wars movie, it was fucking Spaceballs. I was like, what? It was like the year 2000, yeah. I watched my first Star Wars movie in the year 2000, and it was Spaceballs. Heck, I remember the year 1997 or 1998. It would either be the year the games came out or the year after. But I remember the very first time I saw Final Fantasy VII. It was, of course, the train sequence with Cloud fighting the Shinra soldiers. I remember the very first time seeing anything of Final Fantasy VIII, which was the demo disc in Brave Fencer Musashi. I remember the first time I ever saw anything of Final Fantasy 9. It was at some public place where there was someone playing a Final Fantasy. I think it was some big sort of party in this big building. And I would think I was like probably 13 or some years old. But I didn't know anything about the game of Final Fantasy 9. I'd never even seen it before. And I walked in on the segment where someone is playing. And of course, we had like just a group of 6 or 7 people just standing behind this person watching them play this game for a good half hour. But the part I walked in on was the underground area where like those giant like gargantums or something, the big ass fucking ants with a gondola system, where you're in underground canyons full of mist. And apparently it was like the first time in the game that you encounter that stuff. But that's what I walked into, is seeing that. And of course seeing some random battles. And of course each game has its own aesthetic and characters. Not only in terms of designs, but also it's really cool to look back to the gaming specifications of things, between what different consoles were like in terms of what kind of televisions they worked with, what kind of data, the cartridges or CDs could work with. Heck, PS2 was the last console that was, not internet compatible. Granted, it could technically connect to the internet, but for the most part, that was a few and far rare between thing. It wasn't until, the original Halo on the Xbox, there was no matchmaking online. What you had to do was a LAN. You had to have 4 Xboxes in some dude's basement all hooked together with fucking 50-foot fucking Ethernet cords to each other, so that you're playing locally. So you're doing matchmaking stuff, but it would be like 4 groups of 4v4, or all that kind of shit. But here's the thing. Everyone you're playing against is like, within 20 feet of you. There was no randomly connecting to fight random people on the other side of the fucking planet or even down the street. Like, even the idea of playing against the person in the house next to you was like fucking sci-fi shit. Then again, I'm not even talking about like internet nowadays or artificial intelligence. I'm saying if you went back and you took the level of technology we had in terms of what the internet was and what AI was, even back in 2005, and you showed that to people in 1980, they'd be fucking blown away. Heck, if you simply tried to describe the way the internet was in 2007 to people back in 1987, they would have locked you up in a fucking mental asylum, because of how fucking insane it would sound to them, that they would not accept it. Because remember, the first person to really, the people to really be suggesting, that the Earth went around the sun, got fucking locked under house arrest, saying you're not allowed to say the Earth goes around the sun or we'll fucking kill you. That's against the law. It's against religion. And then you also had like the first person suggest like microbiology. The person was trying to figure out how like microscopes and stuff would work, and they're even magnifying things and showing pictures of like, hey, people are made out of cells. Life is made out of cells. That there's microscopic shit, and they wasn't even talking about atoms. This dude wasn't even talking about atoms. He was just talking about the existence of bacteria and viruses and, stuff like that. And they locked that person up in a mental asylum. The first person to suggest the idea of microbiology, which is a couple hundred years ago, they fucking just locked the dude up in a mental asylum. But everyone's like, what the fuck is this conversation? We're like 40 minutes in. How is this about video games? Like, I don't know. But I don't even know what the fuck we're talking about. Alright, technology. I'm just saying this. Even though video game technology has advanced a lot, I feel a lot of modern games just, they're not even of the same quality, even in terms of graphics or music, and they're not good in gameplay mechanics. They're not fun to play. But above all, so many video games in the past had such an amazing story. And like I said, Final Fantasy IX, the characters, and everyone might complain about how the characters were designed. I think it looked like, here's the thing, one, it was cutting edge for its time. I'll tell you this, the characters felt alive, and they felt like they were real. Then again, I'm the kind of person who watched like the Tenchi Muyo anime and imagine like, hey, it'd be cool if like Mihoshi Kuramitsu was real and I could like date her and she would like love me. And yeah, so everyone's like, oh, the anime weeb was imagining fictional like marriages and shit with anime girls. Yes, Ryoko, Washu, and Mihoshi. Very, very hot. Also, I was really very fond of the Tenchi universe. Kione, she was really hot. And I really liked everyone's voices. Heck, a lot of anime is really good, like in terms of... And here's the thing, Tenchi universe, Tenchi really didn't have a story, really. But the story was the characters. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? Like Tenchi really didn't have a huge plot. It was more so about each of these characters have such a rich and flush personality to where you really didn't. It was just the personalities of the characters and the way they interacted. It was, you didn't have to have like some major overarching plot or like goal for the characters. It was just fun to watch and listen to the characters as they were. And that's the thing I think a lot of games and anime need. They need characters people like. Characters that are interesting. Whether it be visually appealing, or in terms of a great voice, or just an interesting personality. And again, yes, visually appealing could mean sex appeal. I do like me some fan service. But it doesn't always have to be fan service stuff. I mean, it can be just a visually well-drawn character that just looks so fucking cool. And then, of course, there's attention to detail when it comes to animation. Like, here's the thing. You can either have characters that are animated that look in fluid motions and their movements look elegant and it looks like they belong in their environment. And then you can have fucking animations that's like, looks like everyone's just T-posing in the background and just... Honestly, I feel like some modern animations do that, and I feel like a random fucking Flash animation from Newgrounds in 2002 was like oceans above that in terms of quality. Then again, different Flash stuff could be different. It could be computer-generated stuff back then, and sometimes it was literally people drawing. It was actual animation, but of course, everyone's got their unique style. But yeah, whether it's anime or video games, you want characters that are pleasant to look at. Yes, I could mean that sexually, but it doesn't have to be something. It could just be like a really cool design. You just want something that's well drawn and is actually fun. Like you know it's a good anime if you're imagining fictional scenarios about, you're imagining situations to put this character in just so you can think about how they'd react. That your mind's engaged enough that you're literally just drawing your own world for them to interact in. And of course, yeah, I mean, I like great anime backgrounds, video games backgrounds, and games. And again, it's just, I know I'm getting off topic. It's just, I really liked a lot of environments and backgrounds in games. I like Star Ocean to End of Time. That was a great game. And like I said, if you could, just imagine the title screen for each of the Final Fantasy games and listen to the title theme music. Heck, you have an Assassin's Creed game coming out in a couple months. The funny thing is this. The new Snow White movie is coming out basically the same day. I think they're a separation of one day exactly. I think one of them is March 20th and the other's 21st. But basically the same day. Assassin's Creed Shadows and the new Snow White movie are basically coming out the same day. And I expect both of those to be horrible flops and huge financial losses for the people involved. But I'll tell you this. Snow White. Not only would I say the original Snow White movie is actually really good, I'll also tell you this. There's a music video called Sonne, Sonne, and it's by Rammstein. I think the music video to that makes a better Snow White movie than what we're getting. Heck, same thing, Assassin's Creed. I really enjoyed the older Assassin's Creeds a lot. Like, if I had to rank the top 5 Assassin's Creed games, I would say number 1 is Assassin's Creed Rogue, which is the 5th Assassin's Creed game. So if I had to rank them from best, well, not best, but best to least best, like the 5 best Assassin's Creed games, they would be Assassin's Creed Rogue, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 2, the original Ezio story, Assassin's Creed 1, and then Assassin's Creed Unity. And keep in mind, Unity is technically Assassin's Creed 6, Rogue is Assassin's Creed 5, and Black Flag is Assassin's Creed 4. Now, while I would say that in order of, I would say Assassin's Creed Rogue is the best. And then it's Assassin's Creed Black Flag, then Assassin's Creed 2, then Assassin's Creed 1, then Assassin's Creed Unity. But if I had to suggest an order that you should play them in, I would suggest that you play the original Assassin's Creed game. And then you play Assassin's Creed 2, the original version, and just the main game. Then play Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Then play Assassin's Creed Rogue. Then play Assassin's Creed Unity. None of the others are of any interest to me. They all sucked. And Shadows, if you've looked at the gameplay, it looks like the fucking worst piece of shit ever. I will say this, it sucks that the fucking Nemesis system from fucking Shadow of War is fucking, copyrighted. Heck, the fact that it's not able to really be modded. Imagine if Shadow War, the Lord of the Rings game, had mods available. You could have anime characters and all kinds of shit thrown in there. Imagine all the kind of crazy ass mods you could have. Heck, imagine if you just put on straight in fucking AI to control the scripting and the writing in terms of how the Nemesis system characters are made. What if AI could just name them and actually control their movements and give them custom dialogues, like it's just ChatGPT actively talking to you? Heck, you just come across Hatsune Miku and Goku. Heck, what if you had a Nemesis system, but it was Bloodborne or Dark Souls or a Halo-style FPS game or Where's Waldo? Heck, what if you redid redid Shadow War, but it was Senran Kagura. And it was fan service and just boobs and titties everywhere. And also, it's not really violence. It's got the same amount of violence as a Senran Kagura game. So, like no blood or, graphic goriness. But lots of titties and stuff like that. And, we'd replace, stealth kills with, surprising somebody with a gifted manga. And instead of, executing people, you would, give them hugs and head pats. And instead of, shooting arrows at people, you'd be, throwing stuffed animals at them. And it'd just be, instead of orcs everywhere, it'd just be tons of cute anime girls everywhere. And instead of, a desolate fucking lava world or forest, it would be beautiful locations in, Japan that you would imagine out of an anime. Or cool environments from other video games like Star Ocean Till End of Time. Or Final Fantasy. Again, both the visual appearance, if you get the chance, play Final Fantasy IX. If not, at least look at the title screen, listen to the title theme, and look up a picture of the fucking leaf tree. And listen to the music to that theme. Heck, I've made videos called the cringiest videos on the internet, and the first couple, I'm like, one's a picture of Kuja, the main antagonist of Final Fantasy IX, with his white hair, and then the cringiest videos on the internet, part 2, is Kuja with his red hair when he's using his transform or his Super Saiyan state. And I've made jokes about hey guys, this is me, look, I'm cute. But what it is he's a femboy. The main antagonist of Final Fantasy IX is a femboy. Basically what happens is this. The story of Final Fantasy 1. You have crystals to regulate the world, and a knight goes to the dark side and becomes Darth Vader. And then there's goblins wearing wooden armor. And then the embodiment of chaos comes out. It's Palpatine, I guess. I don't know. Final Fantasy 2, there's some queen. No, king? Yeah, there's some evil king. And he wants his army of zombies. Conquer the world. Final Fantasy 3, there's an evil queen. And she wants to become a god. Or have bigger boobs or something. I don't know. Final Fantasy 4. I think it's the one about evil elf Hitler taking over the moon so that he can build the Tower of Babel and eat macaroons. I don't know. Final Fantasy V, you have an angry tree. The tree is angry. Honestly, I know that's the worst description ever. But honestly, Final Fantasy V and Final Fantasy IX are the two Final Fantasies I would suggest the most. Final Fantasy V had a job systems, but also just, I really like the music. I really like the aesthetics of the art. And yes, I kind of shit on the story a bit. But all in all, it's still a good story. And the characters were really cool. So Final Fantasy V, really cool. Final Fantasy VI, some clown gets dementia, I guess, and then starts ejaculating lasers. Final Fantasy VII, you're a dude with low self-esteem who wants to bang this girl with big titties, and then you join the military underneath this Bishonen dude named Sephiroth, who turns out to be a genetic experiment from an alien woman who is like a virus to planets, and then you join a terrorist organization that's trying to save the environment because we're like pumping out the Mako energy for electricity. But it turns out Mako energy is just liquefied human souls. So you're like, and then you go gambling at the Gold Saucer, and then Aerith. There's a girl named Aerith that's really cute, and she's really nice, and totally nothing bad will ever happen to her. Because if it did, you'd feel really sad. And then Final Fantasy VIII, a game that was... Honestly, when you played the actual game, I'd suggest playing the demo disc for Final Fantasy from the Brave Fence Musashi. It's cool. The demo disc gave you a tiny bit of a unique flavor that the actual game did not possess. But the actual game is still cool. Actual game. You're an antisocial, withdrawn person with autism who is trying to figure out how to be an adult. But the answer is, you don't know because you never had a proper childhood and you don't have healthy family figures, so you're just trying your best to be the most competent, which, I mean, honestly, you're more competent than all the other people, all the actual adults in the game. But at the same time, we're just sort of a very depressed person who doesn't know how to talk to people. Also, something about time travel or something. And then you had Final Fantasy IX, which is about Zidane. And you kidnap a princess, you fall in love with her, and there's also a thing about your new best friends. One's a dude named Steiner who initially fucking hates you, and he's a stuck-up fucking asshole who's a complete fucking tool, and he basically thinks royal people are all that and poor people suck, and he's a complete fucking dick. But eventually he learns reality, and he becomes like your best friend. Also, there's Vivi. He's really cool. But you have to like struggle with certain things about existentialism. So I mean, it depends on, are you okay with existentialism? There's also other characters that are really cool too, but I'm trying not to make a super long video. There's also a really giant tree called the Leafy Tree. It has a really great musical theme, and it looks really cool. Heck, could you imagine seeing an actual Leafy Tree in real life? That'd be so fucking cool. I don't know if it'd have disastrous impacts on the environment, the world. I'm just saying an actual to-scale Leafy Tree would look pretty cool. It's fucking Tree of Might in here. Tree of Might would be nothing compared to that shit, though. But I'm just saying Leafy Tree's cool. And the music's cool. But also the main bad guy of Final Fantasy IX is a femboy. Final Fantasy X is something about you're playing football, but you're like floating. It's like Quidditch. But if Quidditch was fun and cool and interesting. Also, there's a bunch of girls and bikinis, and there's boobs. And that's all that's worth remembering. Final Fantasy XI is an online thing. Like, it's an MMORPG, like the original Warcraft games. Oh, speaking of which, you guys remember, while World of Warcraft is an MMORPG thing, there's also the RTS, Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. And then there was also StarCraft, the original StarCraft games. Those were really cool. Constructed more additional pylons. Zug Zug. And heck, you guys remember Empire Earth? I don't. I'm starting to space out. Yeah. I'm just gonna take a nap, guys. Alright, Final Fantasy Tactics. Evil Jesus takes over the world and you fight him with a chocobo and mathematics. Like chess on a topography map. Final Fantasy 12. Some dude wants to take good care of a country to make his country better. And to a large degree, he wasn't entirely wrong, but he was also a complete fucking dick about it. And went to extremes in certain things. Also, he was talking to like ghost alien people who wanted to like fight against these other ghost alien people. Just saying, the main bad guy of that game, you know, if he sort of just dialed things down a little bit and just talked to people, you know, basically be like, talk to the main characters, including one which was like his own younger brother, and just sort of, we all sat around a table and drank some Pepsi and calmly discussed our plans rather than becoming like a fucking psycho person that's just killing everybody while talking to our schizophrenic ghost yaoi friend. And then we have Final Fantasy 13, where you have like a girl with a gun blade fighting, I think, giant penis monsters. And Final Fantasy 14. It's another MMORPG thing. And 15, I think you just like drove around in there's a bunch of twinks driving around in a car in the desert or something in the forest. So you're just like seeing cool environments. Well, I can get behind that. Who doesn't love beautiful environments? I'm the kind of person I like to go to bike trails, and I never want to go camping again, but I like going out, like just enjoying nature. How long are we in the video? It's over an hour. I gotta end the video. We're talking again. There's so many RPGs that are just so good in terms of the environment. Like again, I've said it before. Star Ocean Another Time, Dragon Quest VIII. Just that's a good thing about any RPG. It's like you have you have a story that's awesome, and that's the thing. I feel like you're gonna like focus on anything in a game. One, the game should be fun. You know what's really fun? The Senran Kagura games. I'm just imagining jiggle physics, just big bouncing titties. Stay focused. I'm focusing on boobies. But I'm not really sure what I'm talking about now. But oh yeah, Star Ocean Till the End of Time. Some cool environments. I like that. I think any game developed before 2016 is a retro game and is by default probably a better quality game. Because like I said, I feel like a lot of games nowadays just don't. They suck. I still like that there are new games coming out. I feel disappointed by a lot of them. I still want another really good FPS game. Heck, the original Halo trilogy was really kick-ass. But yeah, like, there's so many really good RPGs. Heck, even if you're like a really big Sonic fan, check out Sonic Spinball. Check out Sonic 3D Blast. Check out Sonic Generations. Check out Sonic Shuffle. Brave Fensu Musashi is a must-play game. As is Mega Man Legends, like the original Mega Man Legends. An absolutely amazing video game. Then again, I mean, still, I also say, you know, the environments that are Star Ocean Till End of Time or Grandia 3. Just really good games. So, yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to do my original plan and the marzipan thing, which is going to take way too long to do that. But I'm just saying, if you could, as a favor to me, just take a moment to think about the title screens of every video game you have played yourself. Think about your favorite games. Can you imagine the title screen and the starting title theme music in your head? Try to think about the first time you played any of the games you could think about. Like, what was the first console you played? What was the first video game you played? Do any of them have certain nostalgia things you feel do? Like, for example, not only do I have the nostalgia the first few times I saw the Final Fantasy games, but like I have lots of memories of just sitting in my room playing the Final Fantasy games. You know, those are solo games, you know, story-driven games. And of course, there's games like Mario 1, Mario 3, Spyro the Dragon. I remember sitting and playing that with my mom. Neither of us were any good at those games, really. But at that point, my memory, that what's pleasant about the memory, it's less about the game itself. And it's more about that I value the memory I have of sitting and playing a video game with my mom. Don't get me wrong, Mario 1, Mario 3, and Spyro have great soundtracks. And Mario 1, Mario 3 is great gameplay that I think still stands up to this day. And above all, Spyro the Dragon has, perhaps a bit of a starting point of that wonderful relationship I have of just enjoying environments. Because it's Spyro the Dragon, you wander around and you feel like you're part of that 3D environment. And even back, and granted, I like the reignited stuff that when they retouched up for like the PS4. But I still liked the original graphics of the original Spyro the Dragon from back in 1997. I still liked the way that looked. I still liked the way the music sounded back then. I enjoyed playing the game a lot. I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed the way everything looked. I enjoyed just basking in the atmosphere. Just sitting in the game, looking at the environment, looking at the skybox, looking at the trees. Just like I can just sit here and imagine, you know, the artisan zone, the artisan world, and imagine just walking around inside, walking those grassy plains, the artisan's world. I can just imagine it as if it was real. And I imagine myself, it'd be cool to, like, if I had a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever, and just whoever, and I could just walk around that place with them and just feel safe with that person and just feel relaxed and at peace and just enjoy looking at the clouds. And I know that sounds so fucking lame of me, but I like to go outside and just look at the clouds. I like to just look at the trees, especially on days it's windy. I like to just watch the trees sway in the wind. I like to walk bike trails and I don't listen to music or anything. I just walk the bike trails. Sometimes I'll be talking to myself, and sometimes I'll just be walking quietly, just listening to the sound of just nothing. Not even letting my mind think about anything. Sometimes I'll be lost in thought, yes. Sometimes I'll be outright talking to myself and having conversations with myself. And sometimes I'll just be listening to the quiet or just the sounds of nature or just the various sounds of birds or anything going on. Heck, I'm the kind of person that if there's a thunderstorm, I like to sit on the front porch, drink some tea or Pepsi, and just listen to the rain. Watch the trees sway and watch the rain come down. Heck, if the rain's really strong, I like to just lay in bed and in the dark in front of a fan with the wind blowing on me from the fan and just listen to the rain, especially if it's downpouring really hard. I like to just listen to the sound of the rain and to the sound of the thunder. And if there's a really strong wind, I like to listen to the sound of the wind being really hard to where it sounds like it would be terrible to be out in. But it's fun to just lay in bed and listen to it and feel the wind from your fan on you. But you know that the wind from outside would be so much too strong. I like walking the bike trails. I like hiking. I like enjoying nature. And it certainly would be nice to share that with someone you feel respects you and someone you feel safe with. Especially if they're super cute. But heck, I remember one time I was on this VR chat thing, and there was you're in this skyscraper that's multiple floors, these very lavish looking luxury sort of living rooms, and it was like set up just for people to talk to each other in terms of how it would be in real life. Not obviously not like in real life. It's like obviously it was such a rich thing that obviously I don't think if such a thing exists, I would never actually see it IRL. But the main point is that the building plan for the building was set up with the idea, granted it's a fictional building, but the main point it was set up for the idea of people socializing. And VR chat is supposed to be positive socialization of people that are antisocial. But I remember, and it was the day before I had to go get a bladder surgery, and it's not like I was wanting to talk to people about that. It's just I wanted to be somewhat sociable and talk to people before doing something I was very nervous about. And I literally you're in this skyscraper overlooking a city at night. And it was a big city, and there was all sorts of lights from the buildings below. And it was the middle of the night, and it was storming and raining. I spent an hour, granted in real life I was just sitting, but in the game I spent an hour standing. I spent an hour just standing there in front of a giant window, just watching imaginary rain fall on an imaginary city, listening to it. And I'll tell you this, if I was in the real life equivalent scenario of that, like if I was at some rich, lavish sort of party, and I was there to socialize, but then I looked out the window and saw that it was raining out of the skyscraper, I would totally just stand there and just watch the rain and look at the city. Heck, if I had a date that went with me, I'd be like, hey, I'm going to stand here and watch this rain. Do you want to stand here and watch the rain with me? We could hold hands while we stand here and watch the rain. Okay, well, I don't think it's possible for me to make myself sound any more lame than I already did. Heck, as is, I couldn't imagine somebody listening to all this, let alone the fact my voice is all scratched to fuck up. But yeah, there's so many really good video games. And I was thinking about making a thing about, the title screens and title theme music of all these games. But I guess the main thing I just try to say is an appreciation for video games. Heck, Kid Chameleon's a really good game. And it's also got some ROM hack versions called Kid Chameleon 2, Heady Metal's Revenge, and Kid Chameleon 3, Final Marathon, that are both really good games in their own right. It's fun to watch Let's Plays of things. People like Slow Beef, Rom Scout, Ultra J-Man, Freelance Astronauts. It's just, I've always enjoyed Let's Plays. I've enjoyed music. I enjoy listening to like System of a Down, Korn, Disturbed, Tool, A Perfect Circle, Metallica, Final Fantasy soundtracks, Dragon Ball Z soundtracks. I enjoy anime soundtracks. I enjoy video game soundtracks. I'm looking forward to more of the anime overlord with Iron Soul Gone, and more of the reincarnated as a slime anime with Rimuru Tempest. Technically, both of those light novels for those animes, like Overlord is supposed to end with Volume 18. Volume 17 comes out this June of 2025. And Season 5 of the anime, which would be Volumes 15, 16, 17, and 15 and 16 are the whole area where Ainz travels to the elf country with Aura and Mare. But that's going to be Season 5, which should come out in 2027. Volume 18 should come out as an actual novel sometime in 2027 or 2028. Now, of course, there are some bonus novels. There's a couple smaller bonus novels that are about Ainz taking back up the mantle of being Momon and traveling with Albedo to the and Yuri Alpha to a bunch of haunted ghost ships and planes and stuff in the water and stuff like that. And then there's a very long bonus novel that's like longer than a traditional novel for the series. That is about a what if. That's what if Ainz Ul Gone was transported to the New World without Nazarick or the Guardians, and about 200 years earlier, and he winds up hanging out with a vampire princess of a lost kingdom. And the idea is that in this version of the story, he's much more human. Like, he's still the skeleton dude, but he's much more compassionate and kind. The idea being is that to a large degree, while the Guardians do love and respect and serve Ainz and want to do above all to make him happy, they are a bad influence on him. And that you wind up finding that largely a lot of his willingness to be as dark as he is in the anime is because of influence, because of the NPCs. That the NPCs are having such a profound effect on him and how he is. And that his personality is much more benevolent and less power hungry if it's just him. So and it adds more additional context, background information. But yeah, Volume 17 comes out this June. Volume 15 and 16 are about the Elf Kingdom. So Season 5 would be about, the Elf Kingdom. As well as, what I assume Volume 17 is mainly about is Nasrid going to war with the slain theocracy. But that should come out as an anime. It comes out as a novel 2025. It comes out as an anime in 2027, which it will be a season 5. Because technically, for the most part, seasons 1, 2, and 3 are pretty much straightforward. Now, season 4 of Overlord, what happens is that chronologically what happens is season 4, you have the first half of season 4, and then you have the Sacred Kingdom arc movie, and then the next 6 episodes of season 4. So while season 4 released before the Sacred Kingdom movie did, the Sacred Kingdom movie chronologically takes place right smack dab in the middle of season 4. Which, out of everything happening, that should be the only part of the series that's going to behave like that. Season 5 should be chronologically the way it should be, which is, again, it's going to be the Elf Kingdom stuff and then the Volume 17. Now, after that, it literally just leaves Volume 18, which makes me think that we'd have a Season 5 and then Volume 18 would just be made a movie as a finale. And then we might get the bonus stuff made into its own movies as well, if there's enough support for it. But, yeah, Overlord, as well as Reincarnated as a Slime, should be ending, and probably ending about the same time. Which means hard to say when stuff will be fully animated, but I would say you'd get the movie to end Overlord at 2030. So what's going to happen is the novels telling the stories of Overlord and Reincarnated as a Slime should come to their final conclusion in the year 2028, which is 3 years from now. So both Reincarnated as a Slime and Overlord should be finished as stories in 3.5 years. And both should be finished being animated in the year 2030. I don't know if we might get some more video games or any sort of other side content. But I'm just saying, I really like the characters. In fact, there's a music video of Overlord Gangster's Paradise I feel like really just it sums up the show so well. And I do like both of those animes quite a bit. But yeah, I guess I should rehash through some games real quick. If I had to suggest some games to you guys, Robo Warrior, Dragon Quest New Legend, Super Mario 1, Mario 3, Super Mario World, Assassin's Creed Rogue, Black Flag, Shadows. Not Shadows. I'm spacing. I think I'm tired. Don't play Shadows. I mean, unless you're a masochist. Unless you really hate yourself that much. Either that or you could let's play it yourself and you could show off to everyone how fucking shitty the game is. But yeah, games like Dark Cloud, Brave Fencer Musashi, Mega Man Legends, Blam Machine Head, Shining Force EXA, Shining Force 1, Dot Hack Infection, Dragon Quest VIII, Mega Man Legends, Brave Fencer Musashi, Grandia 3, heck, the original Halo trilogy, all of the Final Fantasy games, but of course Final Fantasy IX, and I guess I'll just leave this off with just saying Star Ocean Till the End of Time for the PS2. I strongly suggest that game. Star Ocean Till the End of Time, the PS2. So, yeah. I'm going to end the video